I once asked a friend why she doesn't like to swim and generally avoids any trips to reservoirs. And here's what she told me. I was 7 years old when my parents decided to spend another weekend in nature. In general, a family vacation away from the city was a familiar thing for us. In winter, skiing in the forest, and summer indulged in a variety of picnic in the field, horseback riding, fishing. Father, though a fisherman, but standard drinking with friends does not attract him. Even though I'm a girl, I know all the tricks of camping. Lighting a fire, setting up a tent, orientation in the forest. Yes, and our mother is a pro in this business. It's not for nothing that she finished Leicester. She determines every bush in the forest by its names. This time we decided to go with a tent to the lake. It's the height of summer, the nearest reservoirs are full of people, the whole coast is busy. Therefore, my father took us to a small forest lake. The benefit of the South allowed us to overcome such a let. My mom and I were very happy that the lake in such a wilderness, for once we won't have to clear a place to rest from garbage after the previous vacationers. We set up a tent, built a fire, had a snack. We planned to stay overnight, and my father went to cast fishing rods to please us with fish soup closer to night. Meanwhile, I ran to look at the lake animals. It was 4 o'clock, the heat was slowly subsiding. Dragonflies flew over the lake, birds chirped in the forest, and I bent down and tried to see the fish among the algae, snails and water meters. The water was quite clean and warm, and I went knee-deep in the water, trying to catch a little newt. Bending down once again, I saw a human head in the water, or rather, a face attracted attention. It was the face of a living person with open eyes and facial expressions. No hints of a body have been found. I jumped out of the water with a squeal and ran to my parents. The father immediately went to that place. He crawled around and probed everything with a stick, after which he convinced me that it was just my imagination. To distract myself, my mother took me to look at the forest flowers. When we returned to the tent, my father had already cooked fish soup from crucians. While eating and talking, the time passed quickly. It was about 8 o'clock in the evening when Mom took a bottle and went to the lake for water. Dad and I were enthusiastically looking at the compass at that time. About 15 minutes later, an excited and terrified mother came running, took my father aside, said something to him. He took a couple of steps towards the lake, but my mother stopped him, and we hurriedly packed up and left. In the car and at home, I asked my parents what had happened, but they either kept silent or translated the topic. In the end, in order to get rid of it, the father said that he was urgently called to work, but this was not true because on arrival home, he did not go anywhere. Only a few years later, my mother told me that she, too, had seen this face in the lake. They reported to the police about a possible drowned man. Divers even went to the place, but they never found anything. It also seemed to my mother that the face did not look like the face of a corpse. It was carefully examining her from the water, moving its eyes. Since then, I have not been drawn to the water at all, and they began to make trips to nature less often and choose places more crowded.